video last night about Victorians overdue paying tax, which is like 1/3 of them. Those are investors, right? They have a choice. They whether sell their property, which, if that's the news that came out today, that means that they have already missed out the high peak season. So that means they're going to sell the property at a loss in a low peak season after January. So even if you put your property now, unless if they're smart enough to put for sale, and after that do auctions. I don't know what's the number. Well, it's 1/3, but that's a lot of properties that needs to be sold. Whether they sell it, whether they pay out full, or whether they pay a payment plan, or they go through statutory court case with the government, and further down the track will be seizing the property. So if they're overdue, they're not paying, it's when I tell about this type of stories to a lot of to people who wanting to buy a house, and I told them, yeah, it's good news for you when you buy a house. It's cheap when there's a lot of saturated properties on the market, but this is not a private problem anymore. This is a public problem. So when I studied sociology, there's private and public. All right, if you know a few people that that couldn't pay it off, good. But if that's a public issue, if 1/3 of the investors aren't able to pay their land tax, that tells you a lot already. All right, like I said, they can buy this cheap property, but don't expect that it gets any better. If you're saturated, if these landlords, right, that, like I said, I've labeled those options. If they decide to sell, how much percentage they decide to sell, that means most of them are going to sell in a low peak market, right? And it's not going to be the price that they want. They're going to make a loss, or they're going to hold. It's either they have an option. It's either they break even, make a loss, or make profit. But those who want it, got offered on breaking even or on not or making a loss, they're very hard to sell the property. Or maybe they're forced to. They start to realize, what? They didn't make money. I have to pay the land tax man the money. All right. It's not benefiting at all. Then it's like a snowball effect on I don't know how many properties they have. So that's the conversation that I communicate. And many friends are like, oh, this is the greatest opportunity to buy a house. Yes. And I'm like, yeah, of course. But if it dips, if the property is saturated that much, it devalues all the properties in the entire market. If it's still on the market and it's not being sold, it saturates the prices. Everyone's going to fight for who's going to be the cheaper. Or, the buyers has a lot more choices, options to buy, right? Now, when you saturate the market like that, that is basically, it's like a form of like recession, if you think about it. Recession kicks in, high interest rate, and those who are on the mortgage, they can't handle it, they'll sell their property, and everyone flood in the market. This is before recession. I don't even use the word recession, but this is forced by the government. You have to pay. And after you sell your property, then you can pay off the land tax. It doesn't go away, that land tax. It's still in your record, whether you retain a monthly payment, whatever, and those who does it. But that's why I said, once it's oversaturating the property market, it's already game over. It's game over already. Once he's at that level, all these properties sold in the market, you already see the recession. And it's going to come from, obviously, I already know Melbourne, 100%. Sydney should be like that. I don't know how the hell people can afford $3, $4, $5, $6 million houses unless you're really, really earning fucking six figures, honestly. Alright? But that's not just a word of advice, those who think they're getting a cheap snatch. Of course you are. But the bank is going to knock on your door, and I'm going to make on another video because I'm not going to board you guys a 10-minute video, I'll be honest.